All right, folks, in respect of time, we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Jen Silverman. I'm a senior manager with the Morse Technical Education team, and I'm really excited that you're all here with us today. So throughout the session, Harriet's got a really great session for us, and afterwards we're going to have some Q&A. So you will be able to raise your hand if you look on your reactions. You can raise your hand and we can call on you at the end. In the meantime, I'm really excited to welcome you to Harriet Tubman Wright's Activating Women's Revolutionary Leadership Now. So Harriet Tubman Wright is the director of the Wright Resort, Your Soul Safari to Success, and is an accomplished speaker, storyteller, published author, poet, seasoned metaphysician, person-centered expressive arts facilitator, initiated elder, and priestess. She lives her values of freedom, justice, peace, creativity, wholeness, prosperity, and service through her liberating engagement with others. Women with whom Harriet worked risked new livelihoods and flourished, shifted limitation thinking to an all-sufficiency mindset and prospered, incorporated self-care practices to enhance their body, mind, spirit, soul well-being, and thrived. Harriet connects with business, professional, and cultural groups through her transformational talks on feminine leadership, soul power, and holistic health, captivating audiences with her humor and wisdom. She's a natural leader, seasoned professional, and your guide to be fulfilled and free. Please join me in welcoming Harriet.
Thank you very much, and welcome each of you. The most essential and fulfilling contribution you can make is to live your soul's calling and passion, share your skills, and partner with like-hearted change agents to collectively transform organizations, companies, businesses, and the world. I want to welcome you and thank you for joining me. As the world advances in its evolution, all things are impacted by technology. Whatever your role in the technology field, I commend you as an essential worker. Many of us know how COVID contributed to the SHE sessions in 2020 and 2021, during which almost 2 million women left the workforce. Corporate women, teachers, entrepreneurs, healthcare workers, and other, because they had caretaking responsibilities for children, elders, or both. For Black women and Latinas, the economic impacts have been harsh for their families and communities. The long-term impacts are far-reaching. Reform is required in policy, legislation, boardrooms, and the labor market in general. I hope that you will come away from this interactive webinar with functional tools to navigate change, and also with a deeper sense of direction and motivation, support and pride in the career, business, and family choices that you're making, plus a renewed commitment to co-create the transformation required for peace, justice, and freedom in the world. Again, I want to welcome you and just say that I have worked primarily with women since the mid-70s, when I was director of the Black Women's Unit in the YWCA. I also worked with women in New York City, and once I moved to Africa, I lived in Burkina Faso working with a large-scale development project, and specifically with women around diversifying the food, reforestation, and healthcare. When I became regional representative for Church World Service living in Nairobi, Kenya, I also worked with women in the development projects that the governments couldn't do, but the churches supported. And finally, I did supported an income generating project in Zimbabwe, where the women wanted to have fabric at wholesale rates to make uniforms for the children. And it was really about the entire community being uplifted. And so I'm excited and pleased to be with you this morning. We are experiencing a paradigm shift. We know that what was normal will never be what it was. We are in a deep transformation, and I liken it to the birth canal. In other words, what wants to be born in, through, and as me now? Who am I being and becoming as I look to what must be transformed in businesses, organizations, corporate settings, as well as in governments and schools, in our educational, economic, and political systems? So again, as we experience this paradigm shift, you may be thinking, what's next? How can I make things better or different? What am I to do? And so we're going to explore that in this workshop together. I want to talk about, first of all, feminine presence. We all, as women, have innate feminine qualities. Birthing, whether we're birthing a child or birthing an idea. Tending, we're tending our garden, we're tending. We are nurturing our children, we are nurturing ideas, we are nurturing our partners, cultivating. We are harvesting the fruits of our labor, the products, the benefits. We are harvesting, and we are always creating. This is what I consider our innate feminine qualities. And you can think about that in your own life, how you are birthing, tending, nurturing, cultivating. And you may not be thinking about it because it's just natural for you. The second aspect of feminine presence is what I call, or what I refer to as Ma'at. Ma'at was an ancient Egyptian goddess, and she was considered essential for the stability of life. She represents the qualities of truth, balance, order, justice, harmony, righteousness, and reciprocity. We know that the ancient Egyptians were very concerned about the afterlife. And so Ma'at, her symbol was an ostrich feather. And so when someone died, their heart was placed on a scale. One side, their heart, and on the other side, the ostrich feather. If the scale was balanced, then the person was worthy of a good afterlife. If the scale was unbalanced, oh, well, too bad for you. Your heart was eaten, and you were not blessed with a good afterlife. So beyond being a goddess, Ma'at really became a focus for leadership, philosophy, and law. And so when we are operating collaboratively, expressing those innate feminine qualities and the qualities of Ma'at, we're demonstrating what I call feminine presence. Next, I'd like to talk about self-care and soul care practices. Self-care and soul care practices. This is in mind, body, and what I consider body, mind, spirit practices. First, let's look at the body, the physical practices, movement and exercise, whether it's aerobic movement, whether it is walking. We have Tai Chi, Qigong, moving the body, exercise. organized exercise, or walking your dog. And physical also includes play. We see the children playing on the slides and the swings, but when was the last time you played, or how do you play? That's a part of self-care, play. Then we talk about mindset. Our mind, what are we feeding our minds? How are we maintaining some sense of balance or peace? One of the things that I advocate is not to watch, listen to, or read mainstream news. You're going to find out about it. Certainly if it's an emergency, you'll know about it. And someone will always tell you. But sometimes dealing with mainstream news can be extremely stressful. So I recommend alternative ways of getting. In fact, I'll be quite honest, I listen to jazz 24/7, no commercials, no news. And that's one of the ways that I can keep calm and centered. Another thing that I talk about is healthy boundaries. And for women, that's really important because many demands are made on us in the workplace and the home place. And so I advocate that we learn to say no, no, thank you. No, not at this time. No. And to do so without apology, just no, thank you, not at this time. And this is really a way to help us maintain some sense of healthy boundary. When I worked at the University YWCA, a social worker worked with grandparents who were taking care of their grandchildren. And she said, if the only place you can go is in the bathroom and close the door with do not disturb for 30 minutes, then that's what you need to do to restore yourself, to relax yourself. And at a certain point, when the grandchildren or the partner is trained for that, they know that when you come out, you are refreshed, you're peaceful, you are easier to deal with. And so don't bother her, because when she comes out, she's going to be so nice, so calm, so cool. So again, that's a part of creating healthy boundaries. We look at spirit, we can think in terms of prayer, in terms of meditation. We can do affirmations. I am refreshed and happy this morning. I am so excited to be here. I've got this. I know I've got this handled. And thank you, Creator. Thank you, Divine. So ways of nurturing and nourishing the spirit. And when I say soul care practices, that really is about what I shared in the beginning, sharing your skills, understanding I was born to be this, I was born to do this, and therefore demonstrating your soul care is demonstrating who you are, why you are, and doing exactly what you were born to do. So many of us are pulled into other people's expectations or other people's expectations or what they think we should be doing, and we're miserable, we're unhappy. I certainly had that experience in certain work environments, and when I ultimately retired to devote myself to the Wright Resort full time, I I almost became a change person. I really felt that, okay, now I can serve others in a way that can change their lives. And I was much happier, more prosperous, etc., because I'm living my purpose and passion. And so we're going to move into our first breakout session at this time. And the questions that you want to pursue is how might you demonstrate feminine presence in your role and responsibility at work? And the second consideration is, what self-care or soul care practices do you use or will you use to be in health in body, mind, spirit, soul? Again, your breakout sessions, what might you do to demonstrate feminine presence in your role and responsibility at work? And what self-care soul practices do you use or will you use to maintain your health and wholeness in body, mind, spirit, soul? Okay, well, I'm not sure why it's not moving, because I'm pressing the arrow that goes to the right. There, intergenerational. Okay. Thank you for your participation in the breakout groups. I'd like to move on to intergenerational collaboration. There are what we call the baby boomers. I'm in the baby boomers, and a generation, and most of these are seasoned women. They are at senior level positions. They're semi-retired, born between 1946 and 64. That's a general description. And then there are younger women, the X, the Y, the whatever. And these, when I think of them, I feel like they have a more vested interest and concern about the future. In indigenous cultures, we talk about 7 generations, not just this generations, but we're thinking 7 generations. What will the world be? What will the earth be? What will life be for 7 generations? The younger women tend to be more tech savvy. However, they also have not only greater financial debt, they have greater income. Many have greater income than their parents or grandparents. Also, very different values. I mean, I see young people buying, homes that I and my parents never, I mean, it wouldn't have been that price, but the economics is different for a younger generation. So they're different values than their parents and grandparents. When for my generation, our parents talked about the impact of the Depression. Young people now will talk about the impact of COVID. I was reminded Ketanji Brown Jackson being confirmed to the Supreme Court. For younger people and those who are coming, that's going to feel natural and normal. But how many generations did I and my parents and grandparents wait for something like that to happen? There are young people who were around and observing the first Black president, the 8 years, and then there was another president. But that it feels like, oh well, this is the way that it is, but it has not always been that way. And so I'm just describing some of the differences between the generations, and who bring diverse skill sets, who bring different kinds of connections. They just have and more choices than I had or my parents or even our grandparents. I mean, they were it was like the edict for every girl in my family was go to college so you can get a good education, so you can get a good job, so you don't have to depend on a man. That was the edict. I'm the only one who has a child, so at least there'll be another generation, but I've never been married. And so I just point out those kinds of attributes, characteristics between my generation and a younger generation and what that means. And so when we talk about moving forward together, we're talking about different skills, some of which would be considered complementary skills. Okay, you can talk really well. Well, you can run the PowerPoint because you know the technology, or different talents. The opportunity to play an instrument or focus on a skill, a talent, a joy, and have that really developed. And so that becomes your career. You're the violin player or the flute player or the singer, the athlete who, as a young person, an athlete, but now they are a coach. Now they are a counselor to other athletes. So different resources, certainly, and I just have to say the X, Y, Z, younger generations have very different resources. When I was growing up, I used something called a typewriter. I used something that like typewriter. I mean, it's something you would see in a museum right now. Of course, we had machines that belong in museums. So just the age, we didn't have compute. I got a computer as an adult. You grow up with these cell phones that are your computer. That's something new. And I think we remember many of the grandparents were trying to get Alexa or some kind of way that they could communicate with their grandchildren who, may be physically distant. And so my point in terms of moving forward together is that we think of these skills and talents and resources as complementary, as holistic, and inclusive. And this is, I'm excited about the opportunities to work with and learn from younger women. And I feel like I have some life experiences and skills that I can share. And together we co-create something that is new, that is exciting, that is meaningful, that is transformational. And so we'll have an opportunity to move into our second breakout session. And in this session, the questions are, in what ways do you want to transform your industry or your company or your business? In what ways do you want to transform your industry, company, or business? And secondly, what specific skills or talents do you bring to intergenerational collaboration? What specific skills or talents do you bring to intergenerational collaboration. So we'll move to our second breakout. And when we come back, we'll do more sharing. So I really want to commend you in the breakout rooms. Lots was shared, and we'll have an opportunity to do more sharing. One of my big lessons in terms of support from a seasoned guide is a seasoned guide needs support from others who are seasoned in technology and seasoned in ways that I am still learning. What I would like to talk about, and let me see if I can move on to the next slide. I'll be doing a women's revolutionary leadership course fairly soon. And the thing that I want to emphasize, without going into a lot of detail about the course, what I want to emphasize is what you can expect the outcome. It's a 6-week course. You can expect to learn uniquely feminine leadership qualities and strategies. You can expect lessons and insights from women revolutionary leaders, past and present. What are the lessons that we can learn from them? You'll come away with a revolutionary blueprint, leadership blueprint and action plan. Yes, participating in classes, come away with something very specific and a blueprint. This is how I'm going to move forward. And action plan, action steps. You'll have greater confidence and support as a revolutionary leader, and the capacity to co-create positive change within your business or organization or community. And also the skills to work intergenerationally and collaboratively with other women who have diverse skills, talents, and gifts. Let's see if we can move on to the next slide. I invite you to sign up for a complimentary liberation journey session with me to learn more about what it is you want to accomplish, what it is you want to achieve on a personal level and a professional level, and determine if this course is something that could support you. The next thing I want to encourage you to get the free gift. It is 5 essential tools to lead the revolution toward love, light, and liberation, a spiritual guide for change makers. If you're participating in this in this session, you are a change maker. You want to see something different in your work environment, within your community, within your business. You want to see, so you are already a change maker. And this free gift is really a kind of rites of passage to explore, do some inner exploring, and get grounded in the tools that can help us move forward together. I believe that we're at a point of being able to ask questions, to dialogue further. And I believe that Jennifer can help facilitate that process. So I'm going to be quiet and invite Jennifer to take over.
Thank you, Harriet. Excellent. That was wonderful. First and foremost, everyone, virtual round of applause for Harriet and her wonderful insights.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. And now, is there anybody in the room, any questions, any thoughts to share with Harriet? You can come off mute, and if you want to raise your hand first, just in case we get a cue, please feel free. We're ready to hear from you. Or if there are no specific questions, does anybody want to share an aha moment from your breakouts? Anything interesting that y'all talked about?
Harriet, I'd certainly like to hear your some of your distinctions about revolutionary women. You probably already gave that in your talk, but if there's anything more, I would like to that would contribute to everyone, I would certainly like to hear.
I would just say that when I was in college, I was at Howard University and I needed to declare a major, and I thought it would be education. But once I went into the classroom, I said, all of these children need individual attention. I'd rather be a counselor. And so I still needed to declare a major, and Angela Davis, her trial was going on in Marin County. And I learned that she was a philosophy major, and it was like, ooh, honey, anybody as bad as Angela Davis, I'm gonna be a philosophy major. And so I took, I think, 5 philosophy classes one semester and 6 philosophy classes the next semester. And then I graduated during the summer of 71. And when I came back to the Bay Area, I went right into what was Cal State Hayward at that time. And I did get a counseling degree. And because I was the only Black person with my Angela Davis fro at the time, I was asked to take a part-time counseling job in West Pittsburgh, which was, you know, a very poor, Shore Acres, very poor whites, Black and Latinos, and they had a little uprising the spring before, so they needed to have somebody that looked like me. So I was a counselor for a couple of years. What I will say is, from that experience, they would send the Black boys to the office and say, fix them. They can't come back to my room until you fix them. And that was not my orientation around how to deal with, yeah. And there was a young man who was failing woodshop. And I said, oh no, you're not gonna fail woodshop. You are going to high school. I want you to make Miss Wright a coffee table. And he and the teacher had to work together to make Miss Wright a coffee table. And that's how he passed the class. But I left public school counseling after that and did some other things that were, because you come home, I could leave the job, but I couldn't leave what was going on. I couldn't control what was going on in these kids' homes before they came to class. So that is one story. And I have, lots of other stories where doing something that was not, that I thought I wanted to do, but finding the environment oppressive. My last job of all was doing emergency preparedness with the fire department. And it was citizens of Oakland respond to emergencies. It had been developed after the Loma Prieta earthquake, knowing that people naturally want to help. Let's train them how to help. And so they wanted to move that program from the Office of Emergency Services to another part of the fire department. And I said, I'm not doing that. So I was written up for subordination. My pay was docked. I had to go to a Skelly hearing and pretend I was sorry that I didn't say it. I went through that. And at that point, it's like, these people don't even know who I am. I am out of here. So as soon as my son became a senior at UC Berkeley, son, I have done my duty. I am retiring to do the Wright Resort full time. And so here I am. And I mean, I'm laughing about it, but I know that there are other women who've had similar challenges and drama around our work in the world and what who we truly are and what we truly want to be doing, and the creating the appropriate environment and support systems to do that. And, you know, when we come together, I think now I really believe that collaborating and collectively co-creating, that is the model of the present that will shift the energy, that will shift the vibration and shift the opportunity for our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren.
Thank you so much. I do want you to know that I was what characterized me when I had my incident where I said, they have no idea who I am, and went off and decided to, okay, I'm going to do things differently. I'm going to be a pioneer at UC Santa Cruz, which I was when we lived in trailers. And it was Angela Davis that she came there to be the head of History of Consciousness after
Right.
I'd already left, but I was so proud that she was there.
Mhm.
That is really great that you were so inspired by her. And anyway, they have no idea who I am, was, I'm sure, at the core of what drove me to want to identify all the, what I call the relational competencies of women, like being fire preventers, seeing the larger context and connecting the dots and collaborating and being angel's advocate instead of devil's advocate. Anyway, I just really appreciate it. I'll look forward. How do we get your, the free gifts that we get? When do we get that? How do we get that? Go to the website.
It should be in the chat.
Okay.
Let me see if, well, I don't know how to get, yes, I do know how to
No,
get.
there's nothing in the chat.
Okay,
So,
let me pull up the chat.
If you check out the session in Whova in the app as well, I believe there is a link. There is indeed, yes. So if you go into the
my
Whova
chat
app,
is disabled, so.
yeah.
okay. Well, if it's the website that was on the PowerPoint, then I got that. So
Yeah, you can get it that way.
okay, great.
Are there other questions or comments or stories that anyone would like to share? Because we are a rich group of brilliant women. So any stories, any comments, any shares? Any ahas, again, from the breakout sessions or the general sessions?
Hi, Harriet. I am Kate. I have noticed that a lot of the conversation in the breakout sessions have been about burnout, and I don't know if that's because I'm the one having those conversations, but I'm curious if anybody else is feeling that and how you handle it.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm certainly open to hear other comments, but burnout is high levels of stress. And when I talked about self-care and soul care earlier, that notion of time out, time off for time in, and that time in can be meditation, it can be Tai Chi, it can be getting a massage, a therapeutic massage. It can be hanging out in the hot tub. I mean, these are all practices that help us to recenter, refocus, relax, rejuvenate. You know, for some people, hiking in the forest. I will tell you, when I'm stressed, when I have a lot on my mind, I will just go down to the bay and I will take whatever my crap is and I will throw it in the bay. I will just throw it in the water. And, you know, I'll spend time on the beach, but when I leave, when I come home, it is with a sense of relief, a sense of clarity, a sense of openness, a sense of refreshment, because I have let that stuff go. I have thrown it physically away and emotionally away. And so that is one of the things that I enjoy. And I've talked about spending time in the hot tub, therapeutic massage. You know, sometimes people have to go to a counselor or a therapist. I think that most organizations have an employee relations department, and you know, in some they can be very effective, in others maybe less effective. And then the question is burnout. Okay, am I in the optimum environment that is really nurturing and developing my skills and my sense of self? Or am I in an environment that I need to consider leaving if there are not others within the environment who are going to help me change it? Because really, when, you know, somebody can easily knock off one person, but when in that first slide, when you saw all the women coming together, they can't knock off everybody or all the women. They have to reconsider. Okay, we better listen. We better reconsider. This is clearly an issue, not just for one person, but for more. Collaboratively together, we make it happen. So do others have other suggestions about dealing with burnout? Because that to me means time off, time out for time in.
I agree with you, Harriet, on the time off, time out. Find a way to throw whatever is keeping you down into the bay. I love that. But I think for me, something that I've been working on is changing the environment that I'm coming into and working on, like you talked about in your first couple of slides, having those boundaries of no, not right now, no, thank you, because coming back into the same environment, same system that created that burnout, I'm just going to go right back into that cycle. So that's something that you've given me to think about a lot after hearing your session, is how do I create some co-collaboration and connect with the people within the environment I'm working in to make sure that we're not just recreating that same environment and going through the same cycle over and over again. So thank you for that. Brought a lot of insight and some brainstorming in my future around how I can do that for myself better.
Thank you. Are there other shares, ahas? We are nearing our time, and if we decide to end early, it means you get to go to recess. So any questions, comments, insights, shares? Okay, I think I will move to the next slide. I thought I was going to move to the next slide. Okay, well, that last slide had my contact information on it. But again, it's also in the description of the workshop of this session.
Harriet, I'll just add one thing that you put such emphasis on collaboration, and I read in a recent article, I think it was Deloitte, I'm not sure at this point, that this generation, the Generation Z, is the most collaborative generation that we've ever had.
Mhm.
And actually, one of my colleagues and I realized that when we were in elementary school, we did everything independently, and now our children are doing things collaboratively, and they have been for a while. But I just think that that's it. It gives me hope for the future, and in terms of being engaged with the younger generation, I think that it's really important that we recognize and acknowledge them and let them know that they're doing something different. It's really valuable and very special. So I just wanted to add that, and especially for the women that are here that are part of it.
I definitely appreciate that. Each generation brings something different to the table, and we learn from one another, which is, again, is why this notion of collaboration and co-creation is so essential. And it really is. I mean, the Dalai Lama said so long ago that, if the world was going to be changed, it would be Western women. I feel it is women all over the world. And, we do see movements within countries that are making a difference, and that people are risking their lives in Muslim countries to teach young girls and, to offer them a different future than perhaps what they've had. And all of this is very helpful and hopeful in my mind. And for those of you who are, leaving this session rethinking or reconsidering, then again, my hope was for you to not only take away some functional tools to navigate change, but a deeper clarity and motivation about the next steps you pledge to take to transform the world together. So I want to thank you for your participation. And Jennifer, any closing words? Because I think we get to go to recess a few minutes early.
Harriet, you nailed it. I don't even want to add anything onto that. So just once more, huge thank you to Harriet. Virtual round of applause for you. And we appreciate you and your insights so much. Thank you for being here, and all of our participants as well. Thanks for engaging in conversation and engaging in the breakout rooms. We appreciate you and hope you enjoy the rest of your experience with WT2.